Charlotte goes to Josh Adams.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Here out of turn 4.
Tries to slam the door, but they sends him right back up the racetrack.
Big moment for Boney between him and Dexter.
It's Ryan Kuhn yet again out of turn number 4. He's going to win for a second time in the Misfit Touring Series.
And it's all about Christian Peterson out front. 9 top 5s, 9 top 10s, 4 times he's finished runner-up. But tonight, it's the first time win here in the Touring Series.
Christian Peterson, after 17 races, finally gets it done.
Get ready, friends, family, ladies, and gentlemen, because tonight we get to hit race number 6 of the Misfit Racing League Touring Series, season number 3, and it's all coming to a culmination, at least for the next portion, I would say the second, third, and starting right here tonight from South Boston Speedway in South Boston, Virginia. Go to racemrl.com. You're seeing it all live from V-Speed. It's race number 6, and we're going to be racing under the lights. My name is Scott Shive. I'm joined alongside by Justin Prince and our excellent producer, Morgan Cook, and our cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Justin, we're at my homeland, the place I get to call home when it comes to real-life announcing, and I'm so glad to get to do it here with you this evening. We're in South Boston, Virginia. It's a 4/10 of a mile oval, 12 degrees of banking in the turns, and 10 on the front stretch, located in South Boston, and opened in 1957. What's your thoughts, JP, on this race upcoming tonight here from South Boston?
It's a difficult racetrack, at least on the sim to me, because this was originally one of the main rookie tracks back in the early 2010s. For some of these drivers, they've been able to pick up some good success here on the sim, though, with the bigger cars. To be quite simply, though, talking about the approach, it's going to be important to stick towards the bottom of the racetrack around here, especially as it gets dark here this evening. You have to stick around that yellow line. It's going to be very difficult to be able to keep track position if you do not maintain roll at the bottom of the circuit.
Will be important. You'll see a lot of drivers really trying to get down to that inside lane, especially at the beginning of the races. But with it being under lights, we do have the possibility that that second groove could come in, and that's drivers. A lot of drivers like that, to use that top lane for defense. So we could, by the end of the night, JP, see 2 wide racing. And we'll have to see how that works out, how the rubber lays down on the track as the lights come up and the sun goes down. We'll see how the track will take those rubber. Let's take a look at the schedule and continue on. Like I said, this is the beginning of the second, third portion of this race, of this season for Season 3. It's already blown by for us, and we'll be at South Boston this evening, and in this second quarter or portion, I'd say we'll go to Lucas Oil Raceway Park. We'll have a mystery night in 2 races from now in Southern National and Irwindale in our second, third. JP, of this second 5 race section, what are you most excited about? What track?
Well, it's not necessarily a specific track. I'm curious about how the mystery night goes, because that will really test how adaptable drivers will be, because you have opportunities to set things up for a week or so to make sure you're ready for a night like this, get things tuned in for the setup. But when it comes to mystery night, you're talking about a couple minutes notice at best to make sure you're ready to go. So it's going to absolutely surprise a lot of drivers. I think that one's the one I'm looking forward to test how prepared drivers are for any type of racetrack.
And you make a great point, because as well, it is the second of 3 Triple Crown races, which will have big points implication, money implication come the end of the season. And it also has big implications, of course, for our overall point standing throughout Season 3. It's been Jake Grout who has been leading the charts ever since the drop of the season, even though he is winless here in season number 3, but he has been consistent, been on the podium 2 times, and everything else has been enough to keep him up at the top. Christian Peterson chasing close behind. Matthew Knott trying to throw his hat in the ring for a possible contender, as well as Christopher Shepard and Kyle Turzak, who rounds out the top 5. Turzak, our winner from last week, and he did go fastest time in qualifying, but he will start 6th with the invert of 6th. Christian Peterson will start in 5th with that invert after qualifying 2nd fastest. Brandon Elvis will start in 4th in the 54, and Ethan Wolf will start in the 3rd place position. Right behind him, it will eventually be row number 1. It'll be William Hale starting in 2nd. It'll be Aaron Johnson in the 78 starting on pole after the invert. Now we go back to normal, back in row 4. Riley Music in the 47 will sit 7th. Brandon Atkinson will start in 8th in the number 12. Row 5 will consist of 2 drivers. Like we said, our championship favorite right now, the 49 and the 02 of Travis Owens.
11th spot tonight, Matthew Knott will start towards the rear. Along with your points later, Richard Parks will start all the way down in 12th position. And 13th tonight, Thomas Dean, the last driver to set a qualifying time. In terms of the order this evening, we'll start shotgun for our 125-lapper from Sobo.
125 laps, a little bit longer than a normal race we get to run at South Boston, normally 75 laps, but here we're touring, and as we know, when you go touring, it's usually around 125 laps for a 0.4 of a mile circuit, and if any drivers need to come down pit road, it is 35 miles per hour. They have one extra set of tires available. Will drivers take 4? Will they take 2? Or will some drivers maybe take the gamble to only take fuel? 3 green, white checkered attempts if we need them, and as always in the touring series, it is open setups. So these drivers, like we say as always, it's a little bit of driver, a little bit of car, and a beautiful combination. JP, you said it's going to be a long one. You said you're going to have to get towards the bottom, and Aaron Johnson's in the best position for that.
Yeah, and he's one of the teammates too. Kyle Turzak, in particular, we've seen pop up over the time, so we'll have to see if he's going to be able to maintain here with this track tonight. It's going to be difficult, though, especially knowing the speed we've seen from Kyle himself when he started up at the front of the field. It's going to be interesting how things fare out here tonight.
Turzak starts back in 6th place. He's a 3-time winner in his 3 starts of 5 races this season. Aaron Johnson, as well as William Hale, or Christian Peterson, excuse me, is William Hale. They are winless, and they're going to try to pick up their first win this evening from row 1. We are green for 125 laps from Sobo.
Set up on the outside line. Hale just trying to get the pinch down to be able to try and force a little bit of a lift. It's going to be difficult, though, with that rotation. You see, even with the higher up on the banking here, only a little tiny bit of speed for the straightaways. Those corners will be more advantageous because it is that shoulder distance around throughout this lap. It's going to take a lot of effort for Hale to get this job done. It's a lot of squeeze into the 78.
How long does William Hale stay up top? How long do you abuse those right side tires as Aaron Johnson wraps the low side? Ethan Wolf clears into 3rd. Kyle Turzak looking up the inside of Brandon Elvis. He's trying to squeeze on through, and he will squeeze through. Up 2 positions for Turzak. It's still door to door, wheel to wheel for Hale and Johnson, but Hale has the edge at the line.
Hale continues to chew up those tires the more he turns laps up here. He's going to have to be careful in the long run because the Corey Pody Motorsports machine continue to burn up and heat up those tires the more the battle lasts, and those tires usually have clipped for a lot of drivers after about 35 to 50 laps. But a door-to-door contact still, as Johnson still wants this to get over with.
Johnson burning up his right front just a little bit as well. Not as much as William Hale, but he does have to turn harder off the corner. Can't use all the racetrack, and wow, William Hale really pinching him down. More contact for them. Aaron Johnson is trying to scoot Hale out of the way. Hale gets loose, but he is still hanging on to the right rear quarter panel of Johnson. They are both loose, giving it everything they got. Hale sideways again, and look at Ethan Wolf in the 112. He's ready for one of these 2 drivers to maybe ship the other 2 far.
I think at this point, Hale's hooked up the right rear tire, and at this point, he might have to start giving up some of these spots. I know he doesn't want to, but he's just snapping loose. He's nearly spun it 3 times in the past couple of laps here. That car's getting evil, and he's going to have to be extremely careful. Might be able to get behind Turzak to be able to settle down the tires.
He will pull in behind Turzak. William Hale falls down to 4th after starting from the first row on the outside, but those tires are hot. Can't imagine the temperatures for him. He'll have to take time to maybe get those to cool down. Brandon Elvis still falling back through the pack. Rally Music trying to make a go of it, and he will make a go of it quickly in one corner. Elvis gives him the shove back, though.
Yeah, getting a little bit of the elbows popped up here. We've seen Elvis pop up in recent weeks with some of the races here. At this point, though, for Elvis, focus has to be clear. Settle on down. Compare that to some of the points leaders. Matthew Knott still making the way on through to try and keep up with Jake Rout, who is the next car up in the lineup.
Remember, Matthew not third in the overall point standings. Jake Grout currently your championship leader, but they are back in 9th and 10th. Meanwhile, Christian Peterson, who started back in 5th, has actually fallen. He's lost positions to Music and Elvis, and he is under attack from the 12 of Brandon Atkinson. We also want to make note of a lot of people and most of the NASCAR community recently heard about the tragedy involving Greg Biffle and his family this past Thursday, and our hearts and condolences and prayers go out to his family and anyone and family and friends related to him. And we wanted to honor him this evening from MRL with lap 16. We wanted to crank it up for Greg Biffle, Biff style. For the lead, it is heating up. Kyle Turzak has entered the picture, and the 112 of Ethan Wolf is under attack. On near contact between Wolf and Turzak and Aaron Johnson. It's giving him a little bit of breathing room.
Allows him a chance to be able to stretch this out a little bit, but only for so long, especially with how quick that 15 car is on the long run. Last time out, when it came to Kern, Turzak ran away by something odds of 3, 4, 5+ seconds. Absolutely dominated that race. Wouldn't be surprised if it stays green to see the exact same thing happen with Turzak again. But Wolf going to have to be careful he doesn't cut things off here. Had to give up the bottom with that dive along the apron.
Wolf tried to clock down the bottom, but he could not. Turzak enters low, but Wolf doing an excellent job defending from the 15 of Turzak. This is working over his tires. One thing to note, JP, and to mention, we've seen it in the past season. Turzak can really get it done anywhere. But last week, we saw a great show of tire management at Kern Raceway. This is the difference at South Boston, however. This track been repaved. It's a smoother surface than Kern Raceway, and even in the iRacing sim setup, it's smoother than it was. So it's not as much about tire management tonight, but of course, you got to take care of your stuff.
Especially if you want to be able to have a chance just with the way this time ought to work. Yeah, it allows you to be able to fire off, but in the long run, you just have so much fault that can pop up by a few tenths. And especially over the course of 125 laps in a race like this tonight, Scott, in many cases, you're basically just about on the course. 5 legs. A lot of drivers with the rear tires were screaming. Kern, the only reason we got a caution flag after a massive long run was because everyone's tires started popping and at least 3 cars started spinning around the racetrack. So quite simply, those tires are going to be a problem. A bit of contact pushes up Wolf. Turzak getting the elbows out with the late arc.
And look at Wolf, pulls the crossover down low, sweeps up high. Now he's right back under Turzak. He is in an offensive position. Turzak now has to go on defense. How hard will he fight for this? These two will not give it up, and he didn't need to. Turzak gets the pass completed back on the outside. Now he can focus eyes forward to the leader of Aaron Johnson, who has led every lap so far. 29 of the books on to 30.
So far, Johnson's been doing a really good job maintaining, but hasn't really been tested yet. The test is now, especially with Turzak right there for the taking to make this move. You see the diamond line to set up these runs. Watch for the dive coming up, and Johnson knows it.
Look at the block and look how low Turzak goes. Johnson is sideways. They make wheel-to-wheel contact. Johnson slides off of 4, and it is door-to-door for the 15 and the 78. Turzak looks to lead that lap, and he did, but he wants to take the lead and with command. Will Johnson give it up, or will he fight as hard as William Hale did on the outside? He won't have enough for it. Turzak looks to clear.
I think he's got it with Johnson nearly spinning it out. Absolutely sketchy for Johnson. And now at this point, first time Johnson's been up on the high side for the groove. His rear tires are now screaming because he was absolutely trying to fight as much as he could to hold on. Look at this track temp. We started off in the high 80s. It's gone up 10 degrees because of how much heat has built up from these cars zipping around the racetrack and the rubber buildup.
We've seen drivers just like Johnson, just like Hale, slipping off the corner, doing everything they could, and we look back behind them. William Hale, once he fell to 4th, has stayed in 4th, but Riley Music looks to make a charge. We check in as well with Brandon Atkinson and Brandon Elvis, the two Brandons battling it out for 7th position. That is one of your closest battles on the racetrack. This is just where Atkinson started, but Brandon Elvis has lost a couple spots.
Yeah, Elvis, I think, right now kind of has fallen off a touch bit, still staying in the average of the 15.5 still. That's about a 10th off some of the best drivers right now, but these points leaders you see on your screen as well. Grau hasn't really gone anywhere, but doesn't need to per se yet. Later on, if you get a caution flag, wouldn't be surprised if he starts pushing and exerting in the final 50 laps, but right now, the long run play too has to be for Grau. You don't want to lose too much ground. You don't have to dig 5, 6, 7 seconds to get up the leader and pass all these cars. So at this point, there's almost a matter of is he saving too much? Is he trying to back things up with Nonic Company to make sure those tires last?
And that makes me think as well, is he betting on that there's going to be a caution? That maybe he can save these tires, just take right sides, or maybe even just take lefts. It's changed the balance of the car. Is he thinking to only take tires once, or maybe just 2 tires to maybe jump some of these leaders? Because right now, 2.1 seconds behind 8th place Brandon Atkinson. And on a note for Jake Grout, before we jump back to these leaders, he has yet to finish outside of the top 5, but he's running in 9th currently. These leaders, they've been packed up ever since. Turzak, he's not running away like normal. Now, he usually does it later in a run than this, so we'll have to watch and see if Wolf and Johnson can continue to keep up over this long run. But as for now, those 3 all on the line.
Now, keep in mind, an important thing we just received from Race Control, and this was something that was mentioned in the driver's channel and just received confirmation now again. If you take the tires, you're pretty much going to get a punishment, I'm guessing, Scott, because there was not supposed to be a tire change option tonight. So, in other words, you better not be tempted. You better not take the tires. I wouldn't be surprised if no one even comes down pit road at all unless they crash the car as a result. So that's not going to be an option. That would have been an option if we had a longer distance, but not this evening in terms of the tire availability.
I believe we were originally scheduled for 150 or 175 laps and would have absolutely needed refueling and would have needed another set of tires. But now, no tire allotment for these drivers tonight, so it changes our perspective on what Jake Grout is doing back in 9th position, way off the pace of these leaders. And maybe that'll come to fruition later on if he's able to save enough and get a caution back up with the pack. Maybe he can pass through a couple of cars. But Christian Peterson, I'm quite surprised by this. He's not really moved anywhere.
Yeah, this has been a bit surprising. -4. Yeah, last time out wasn't the fastest either on the long run compared to Turzak. Turzak has just been a walking W every time he's been here. But Peterson would expect to at least make a little bit of moves here in the long run, especially some of these drivers like Hale still burning it up and Music still pushing hard to be able to battle things out. But I think he's just kind of waiting for the openings to pop up here. Hasn't shown too much urgency to zip on by. That will probably change in the next couple minutes, though, if you're Peterson, to be able to keep up for some points.
Well, and Peterson qualified fastest, his 2nd fastest time, but he started back in 5th spot. And I think you make a great point. just kind of hanging out. Maybe looking at the top side now to the outside of Riley Music. Doesn't want to give up too much time with these two fighting. So might think about going around to the outside here, but I look as well, he's only 1.6 seconds off of Turzak right now. So now he keeps the high side. Wow, he's looking to take a spot by both of these two drivers. William Hale absolutely getting it from the rear from the 47 of Riley Music, and Christian Peterson is absolutely taking advantage. He'll get them both.
There's the tire life showing its strength because, well, you can't make the pass up high side, but I think the reason he just zipped on by like that, he did the same thing in Kirk County last week. He's been conserving, just picking his spots, letting everybody chew up their stuff. Look at Hale. He is absolutely having to wrestle with this race car on the throttle, and when you're back and forth, sawing like this, it just kills your tires.
Kills your tires, 70 more laps for William Hale. How will he fare as we get later on? More contact between Hale and Music. And you know Music was frustrated, tired of that. And William Hale looks to send it down low, and Riley Music gives him the space. I'm surprised he didn't try to close that off. He leaves him the space one more time in 3, but if you're Music, you are frustrated because you know you're faster, and you just spent all that time using up your stuff. And now it let by Christian Peterson as well.
Yep, and now for Music, I think he's trying something different, but for Peterson, he's kind of taking advantage of Johnson, who didn't have the long run tempo per se here, it looks like, to be able to hold on. Lincoln is now just falling back slowly but surely. Has good speed, even with the invert, but he's just off by those couple 100s, and those couple 100s just add up when it comes to short track racing here. He's having a hard time sticking to the bottom. Hale, meanwhile, just plummeted even further down to 8th.
Down to 8th for the 62 of William Hale. Brandon Atkinson and Brandon Elvis go right on by. Next car is 2.3 seconds back. Peterson goes around Johnson that time. You saw it, Johnson just couldn't hold the bottom, and that allowed Peterson to get right on under. I think we're seeing the tire management out of Peterson at this moment, running equal times with the two leaders. Actually, that time he is the fastest car on track, a 15.49 compared to the leaders 15.58. So Peterson, he is on the move, and I think I was surprised by him not moving anywhere earlier, but now we know exactly why.
Key in the long term, absolutely, especially since, emphasize one more time for those who just tuned in, take tires tonight, get disqualified. If you get disqualified, you don't really get points, do you? In the case of Peterson, definitely going to want to contend for a championship and score to keep up for that title fight. But some of these air battles, Atkinson, who is one of the drivers who missed most of practice here this evening, looking to just get some groove on and keep up. He's the teammate to CP. Hasn't been able to lockstep with them, though. Some of these air drivers, though, like Grout, still far behind Peterson. This is going to be a pretty decent point swing if this stays the way this is going, with some of these championship contenders about half a track back of them.
The field fairly spread out from South Boston Speedway. 64 laps completed, and on to lap 65. We just passed halfway, and it is Kyle Turzak still leading up front, watching along with Turzak, your current leader, and Ethan Wolf. He has kept up so far. He's lost about a 10th, but he's stayed fairly close to the leader.
Yeah, kept himself decent. But when drivers like Music showcasing their pace here, I think for Johnson, long run's just not there. He's off by a 10th of a second. He's pushed a little bit too hard up the rubber. And even though he's trying to fight, you can see right there, it's just not fighting. It's not sticking to the racetrack, with him having to fight it out, and he's just not able to stay in a single file line right now.
Hale, we're seeing the punishment of what punishment he put on his tires earlier. Matthew Knott looks slow, and up in the marbles it is for Hale. He continues to plummet position after position after position, and I can't say I'm surprised.
No. Johnson, though, oh, that tire, something's wrong with this car. He just lost all sorts of ground Just had to let everybody go. I think at this point, he is absolutely going to be in trouble to make it the full distance here if this car is just losing time the way it is. Just pushed too hard to maintain, and the rear tire is going to potentially be at near meatball status by the end of this race.
And I gotta say, I love this. And yep, it is a blown tire for the 78. He is going to come to pit road. And I can only imagine he has to take tires. I mean, even though we know where it is from MRL director Kyle Adams of race control, tires is a DQ. So is that just the end of the night for Aaron Johnson?
Has to be end of the night. He's out of the car. He just took the tires anyway in the box. He can't come back out of pit road, so his race is absolutely done. So 12 still remaining at the very least, though. And yeah, right, there's the confirmation. If he goes back out there, he's going to get the admin penalty, let's put it that way, where he's going to immediately get the admin saying, no, 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 you stay there.
And you might say as a fan, well, if someone's already blowing a tire just after halfway, why didn't they have an extra set? You know, but that's exactly what the league is trying to do. Put it in the driver's hands. And before this race, the drivers knew this is your only set of tires. You have to manage it. If you take tires, you will be DQ'd, because that shows that the drivers, you have to prove you can manage the tires. It's not about going out there and just straight up raw speed. It's how can you race around others? How can you see a driver go zooming by you and say, I'm on a better strategy right now, fall down to 6th and be okay? Just exactly what Christian Peterson did earlier. Started back in 5th, he fell down to 7th, and he had to say, and he had to let those drivers go by and let them sit on forward. But guess what? Now he's back to 3rd, and he's fighting possibly, he could be fighting for this lead.
Forward opportunity potentially in the next little bit right now. And right now, Wolf, you have to give him huge credit. Lee is on his similar setup here in the Wolfpack Sim Sports machine. He's been able to do really well to keep that up. RKM backing when it comes to the setup shop side of things. In order to maintain, that's the same logos on Turzak's car. You have to feel there's a near similar setup to them, or at least a similar base. That's been where the 112 has been definitely benefiting from what Raikkonen's put down. But in particular, Peterson, we know with the trick chassis, he builds those, he's a little bit differently compared to some of the others here. I think he's just waiting to see, will the 112 lose the bottom here? Or better yet, will we get a caution, or will this lap car of Thomas Dean be able to keep it a straight line all over the track?
Thomas Dean up on the high side. He's going to catch Ethan Wolf at a bad time. Peterson, he's going to get the benefit of this. Looks to try to hang on the right rear corner panel of Wolf, and yes, he will. Last time he was on the outside of 2 cars. He went on by them within 1 lap. This is the best way to get around somebody. Pinch them down. We've seen the power of that top side, and Christian Peterson looks to do it. Not clear yet for 2nd, but looks to power out of 2, and he will. Out of 2, he's in position 2.
Just took advantage of the opportunity, quite simply. Knew Wolf was going to be slower because he was going to have to go down earlier to the bottom of the racetrack to make the pass and lap traffic. Opens up the lane for him to take it even on the outside since he kept it full and pinned to the middle. Now, we're seeing Music in particular in some of the air battles also trying to do the same thing. Keep in mind, Music, I've noticed, he's up here by more so a choice, I think, because I seen him after he got past trying to use the 2nd line. He's trying to expand things out, find a different line, try and balance out the tire wear a little bit more differently, and it's actually working decently. I don't think it's winning speed, but it is a line that's making it hard for some of the others, to the point where some of the others have moved up to the 2nd and 3rd line to match it.
Atkinson was experimenting as well. Brandon Elvis in this Music and Atkinson sandwich in that blue number 54. But the Brandons have done a good job so far of their tire management. Music, he seems to be on the defense at this point, but as you said, he's trying up different lines, and the outside seems to be working for him. We've seen with the show of Peterson how easy it is once a driver gets to the outside, how they can go around you, and we've seen as well how difficult it is from the inside to get around somebody.
And we're at this point, about being precise from this point forward, Matt Dunant, I think, might have pushed the tires because he started to plummet yet again. Richard Parks, who's been dealing with right front damage, zipped on by him like nothing. Keep in mind, not, one of the top drivers in the standings could get lapped soon. All this as well, Music getting a very frustrated Elvis, getting the elbows out. Welcome to the marbles, Music says. I don't like the marbles.
And here's Thomas Dean back in the picture again with 4th, 5th, and 6th place, now all getting by him. But Music going to lose 2 positions in one go. Now squeezes up to the rear of Elvis, but he's loose himself. Excuse me, that was Atkinson he was fighting in the 15. So Elvis up to 4th, Atkinson now into the top 5. And Music is just outside of that top 5 and 6th. Can he cool down these tires and maybe have enough left in the tank to finish with the top 5?
A little bit of chipiness on the radio after that pit, but Peterson was about a 10th off the pace last week to Terzak of a long run. This time out, he's matching the pace, if not a little bit quicker. Has he found that little extra oomph to be able to take this away for the 15? So far this season, Terzak has been in only a few of the races this season, but every time we've seen the 15, it's been a walking W. It's been a constant threat. Whenever you see Terzak to take the win, it's been dominating pace from him. Now they have Hale coming up here, who is still drifting. I don't think Hale's rear tire is going to last either for the whole race.
Anytime that Terzak and Peterson have been in a race together, Terzak has won, and Peterson has finished no worse than 3rd position. Will the story end up the same this evening? The night that they're in a race, and it could be 4 for 4 for Kyle Terzak, or could Peterson flip the script and beat the man who each time he shows up, he comes out with a W?
3 times the victor, absolutely. Terzak getting a thank you. Giving a thank you, should say, on the radio. Hale went way up the track, almost stopped in front of Peterson by accident there. Hale was trying to let him go. Almost said Olay a little bit too hard with it.
We spoke about the times being matched between Peterson and Terzak, and that lap traffic did not help Christian Peterson. Lost a couple tenths to the leader. And that last time by, it was 7/100ths slower for Peterson. It doesn't seem like much. You saw Matthew Knott pull down onto pit road. He's got tire issues as well. Seen it now out of 2 drivers, and that's going to be night ender, I should say, for Matthew Knott. Back to your leaders, though. Peterson, looks like things are falling off.
Yeah, now it's going to be difficult to close this up again. They have open space, but every time Peterson's made a pass as of late, it was about saving a little bit, then waiting for some place to strike. When you have it just yourself with the leader, and you're only likely to reach maybe a few more lap cars, there's not too many grouped together here. Not too many chances for Terzak to fumble an 0.8 of a second difference. So Peterson has to do this on raw speed, but the thing is, if he doesn't time this up right on the push, it's going to be a challenge. Music came from the top half of the field.
With more and more drivers coming into the pit lane, we're continuing to see the importance of at least taking together enough of your tires to get them to the end, to keep those cords off of it, and keep the tires together themselves. But talking about these 2 leaders, I think the only thing better than what Christian Peterson did and the method he was trying to do in his strategy of laying back and coming up through the field later is getting to the lead as fast as possible and saving in clean air. And that's exactly what Kyle Terzak has done. And I just don't know if there's going to be enough for Christian Peterson without maybe an interference of a caution.
Yeah, I just don't see it either right now. That's the challenging part of this. It's going to require trouble. But the thing is, noticing as this goes on, you almost called it on the jinx, because Wolf just about got punted in the next group by this pack. Atkinson and Elvis all trying to drive by Wolf, who's now cooked his tires.
I mean, how often have we switched back to Brandon Elvis or Brandon Atkinson, and the other has always been in frame? Here we go. Ethan Wolf, he wants to split him up. Not going to be able to do it. Elvis still going to leave the lane open down low for Wolf, but he's got too much momentum on that high side, and the Brandons continue to move through together. It's Atkinson up to 3rd, now Elvis in 4th. These 2, they're a package deal.
Yeah, they've stayed pretty close together. Obviously, two different groupings of teams for them. But so far, the speed's been pretty similar. Atkinson, I think, though, now has a little bit better with the long run. He's been kind of boxed behind Elvis much of the way. Now that he's got clean air, it's working out very well. Elvis, with his outside line, isn't really matching too well. Grout, for his sake, not even in the top 5 yet. The points leader is the next in line to be lapped.
Well, and for Jake Grout, I don't see a top 5 happening unless there is a caution 3 seconds off of 5th place Ethan Wolf. And I say that. And Ethan Wolf could blow a tire. And there is time to do that. And as we know, that'd be an immediate day ender for him, and he'd have to come into pit road. William Hale, I cannot believe he is still holding on, even though 1 lap down. So while he pushed early and made trouble for himself, he's done well to at least be able to have enough to stay on track.
I don't think it's going to last to the checkered flag, though. He said, I think I'm going to wreck it a little while ago. And he's been trying to slow roll this thing at the bottom of the racetrack at about 70 miles an hour. He cannot go anymore. There it goes!
And he backs it down onto the apron area and trying to reverse into pit road. We are still green on the racetrack. That was right behind your leader of Terzak and in front of Travis Owens, Travis Owens, and he is already a lap down, but Christian Peterson was close behind to Owens. So that was a near miss for Owens and Peterson, but with him pulling down into the apron area and off of the racing surface, we remain green, but that could have been the caution that Peterson needed.
Yeah, and I think that was all sparked with the tires gone, but also the fact he was also going faster than the past couple laps in the first place on his conservation efforts. Just fell away. Terzak, by the way, is on full push mode. He's gone back to the 4s. So he's kind of putting that definitive, I'm in a domination station mode. I'm with under 10 laps to go running away. He's pulled 3 seconds on Peterson over the past 25 laps or so. This has been a stellar runaway to close out the statement. To go 4 for 4, he just needs to stay green.
This kid is 16 years old. Drives pro late models in real life when he can at Dominion Raceway. Looks around, he is very close. He tried to actually run this past year at South Boston in his limited late. He tried to transition it to a limited late model, and he tried to run on the weekend of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, but had engine problems. But this kid continues to prove that he is a true talent behind the wheel, whether in iRacing or in real life.
Points leader, though, at least getting the top 5 here, as it looks like another driver slowing down there. Wolf, he's now gone, and that right front is really popped out there.
So Wolf, and that was the spot that Jake Grout needed. He has now advanced himself into the top 5. We thought this race might have been the one where he might finish outside the top 5 for the first time. Not today.
Yeah, just 5 laps to go, though, at this point. I'm not going to lie, though. When you said Kyle was 16, my first thought was, really? Because he's been on the platform for at least 6 years, it feels like.
He's young.
I've raced him back at the early 2019 or 2018 race. He's been on the service for a while then.
He has, and I actually got to meet him that weekend at the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, and we got to actually meet face-to-face, and it was so sad when he blew an engine and wasn't able to run, but he is still a kid, and it shows you what future this kid might have on the iRacing platform and maybe getting opportunities within real life. And even though it's iRacing, statements like this could open the door. White flag this time for Kyle Terzak. Each time he has showed up, he has won. In all 3 events he has bested anyone within the Touring Series. He just came off a win in the 250-lap 3rd annual Rudolph 250, and he'll take it for a 4th time in the Misfit Touring Series Season 3. Kyle Terzak is your winner at Sobo.
Another dominant day. Entirely green as well.
Lap. One of them in his last couple laps.
Wow. There's not much else you can say. Just decimated the field once he got the lead.
It looked like maybe Ethan Wolf or maybe Christian Peterson would have had something for him. But at the end of the day, that clean air was king. Kyle Turzak flexed his guns at the end of the night. Christian Peterson will come home second. Brandon Atkinson, what a great job. Starts eighth, saves his stuff all night, and finishes on the podium when, I mean, he really didn't have to do much passing for himself. Now, he did do it, but he just saved tires, and he conserved and put himself on the podium. We didn't get to take a side-by-side presented by 918 Designs. We wanted to give them a shout out, but we will go to commercial and be right back for results and interviews.
Contact here out of turn 4.
Tries to slam the door, but they sends him right back up the racetrack.
Big moment for Boney between him and Dexter.
It's Ryan Kuhn yet again out of turn number 4. He's going to win for a second time in the Misfit Touring Series.
And it's all about Christian Peterson out front. 9 top 5s, 9 top 10s, 4 times he's finished runner-up. But tonight, it's the first time win here in the Touring Series.
Christian Peterson, after 17 races, finally gets it done.
At the end of the night, when the lights came up, it was Kyle Turzak that shined the brightest. He's a winner at Sobo 4 times now this season in the Touring Series, looking to be on par or maybe his best ever in the Touring Series. 10 wins last season in Season 2. He's on track for it right now. Christian Peterson, a 2-time winner this season, comes up short 2 races in a row. He finishes in second. Brandon Atkinson, we spoke earlier before the break about an impressive run he had to finish third. Brandon Elvis, same for him, finishes in fourth. Jake Grout keeps on going with that top 5 streak. 6 top 5s through all 6 races. Travis Owens, best finish of the season for the O2 in 6th place. Thomas Dean, even though he was 2 laps down, he finishes in 7th. And the rest of these drivers had tire problems late in the going. Ethan Wolf finishes 8th, 9th for Richard Parks, and 10th for William Hale.
11th today went to music with Matthew not down in 12th spot. Aaron Johnson from the pole with the invert. He finishes with our first drop of tire issues. His tires were below 50% with the rear tire after only about 80 laps. He shredded them.
Speaks to the importance of the tire management, and we saw it here tonight. It was shown last week at Kern, and it was cemented this night in South Boston. Well, let's get to talking to. Let's talk to our winner, Kyle Turzak. Got him in the booth, and I know that he asked me where I was last weekend. Well, I'm back, and I get to talk to you again, Kyle. Got to talk to you on Sunday, and you're in victory lane once again.
Yeah, didn't really expect that whole thing to go green, but it's pretty fun. We had to save some tire right there. I realized that. I actually looked over on the broadcast, and when I got the lead, I saw 97 track down. I was like, "Oh no!" I thought I was gonna blow right here. So backed it down a whole bunch, and somehow saved enough right rear to get the win today.
You got by a lot of the drivers in front of you really quick. Did you ever feel pressured by Ethan Wolf or by Aaron Johnson because they stuck with you for about 15 laps? And I would say Ethan Wolf kept up with you for about 30.
Um, Not really. I feel like once I got the lead, I could really tone down and save tire, and it's really hard to pass unless you get to the outside. And I knew that Ethan and Aaron are going to race me clean, but it was just honestly just naming the game was I would manage a gap, and then he would get to me, and then I would not really push, but go harder than I was for about 1 or 2 laps to manage that gap, and I feel like that was the deciding factor because I could he was, I wouldn't say pushing, but he was going harder than me. It felt like, and he was born running that top side, which kills your right rear more. So, I just like I said, I managed my gap, and that was the deciding factor.
Got to ask about Peterson as well, because at one point he was within a couple tenths of you, and then you really started to move away. At what point did you know that he was no longer a threat, or believe that he was no longer a threat without a caution?
It was about 30 to go. I saw him. He's starting to get loose off, and I knew that. Like I said, I've been saving my rear the whole race when I got the lead, and my tires were cool. So I just knew that I'd be really consistent and get that right rear cool, which I did that entire run. I think, from what we were just talking about, he had more right rear percentage to me. So yeah, I just keep the tires cooled, and that really helps me on the longer run. Because like I said, I didn't expect this race to go green all the way. That's badass, really, to go green the entire way. So, props to all these guys. Even though we didn't get that many cars, but we got a good group of guys that we can run all these green flag laps with.
Well, and it seems to be, I ask you all the time, I know you're not going to be able to make all the races, and we talk about the championship fight as well, currently fifth, and you'll probably move up with this win. But this was our final race of 2025, and we go into 2026 on the 3rd of January. We'll be racing at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. I don't know if you'll be there or not, but what are your thoughts on maybe some upcoming races? Because even after that, we got the Mystery Night with the Triple Crown.
Yeah, that should be fun. I missed my 2 races, so those are my 2 drops. So I gotta show it to everyone, which I will. I don't have anything going on really, so it's the off season real life world. So yeah, I'm sticking to run the full season. Missed my two drops to I forget what the first one was, but the second one being Thanksgiving Classic in real life. So just gotta come out here, keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully go get that championship.
Well, Kyle, anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, I want to thank Adams and you guys for the broadcast tonight. I know that, like I said, we didn't have that many cars, but we put on a good race, all the green flag laps and all that. I want to thank Art Camps Up Shop, Ryan Kuhn, for the setup tonight. I want to thank Corey Buddy Wraps for this beautiful number 15, Matthew Designs for the real life wraps, Misfit Productions for the real life world, Terzak Racing on Facebook, and Hot Shot Photography for the best Iverson photos.
Well, there you go. Kyle Terzak picks up his 4th win of the season. Congratulations, Kyle.
Thank you.
Kyle Terzak does it again. And I can't say that me or JP or even Morgan in the booth are too surprised to be saying that when he came across the line. But the driver who came up just short was the 71 of Christian Peterson, and JP is going to get to catch up with him.
Yes, indeed, Christian. Talk to us about what happened in late stages, because you're in position to potentially pounce on the 15, and then after a bit of traffic, Kyle just ran away. What happened from your perspective on the runaway?
Yeah, I think he just did a good job getting out front, controlling the race, saving tire, and he just had a little bit more left when it mattered. I fired off a little bit tight, couldn't, and just kind of rode like kind of how I always do. And yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to figure something out because I seem to have the speed to hang with him, and then he just kind of flips the switch and turns it on when when it's go time. So hats off to Terzak. He's a hell of a wheelman. He drives good. It's fast and fun racing good with him. I just want to beat him real bad, but um, yeah, no, it was just missed on the long run speed, I guess.
So, as a result here, you mentioned looking to see what you can do to change. What are some of the things you think might be you have to be able to try and factor in here to be able to make those adjustments for those long runs, especially since with a race like this, no tire changes. If we got a caution flag, everyone else had to stay on what they had standing left.
Yeah, no, personally, I like the no tires. I think it plays out and makes the racing better. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think we ran here for 6 weeks straight in track masters, so I don't know if it's anything with the setup. I think it's more just I got to change something with how I'm driving and my mentality going into the race. Um, Kyle and or Terzak there likes to go and and get the lead quick and control it, and I kind of just try to bide my time and let the race come to me. And yeah, so I don't know. We're just gonna have to search and try something different here. But it's a lot of fun.
How do you feel about IRP next time out after the holidays?
IRP's fun. I like it. Lots of lanes. You kind of search up and down the track. So looking forward to it.
Any shots you'd like to give here tonight?
Yeah, just everybody at Trick Chassis, guys who work on the setups, come hang out. All you guys who put on the hard work, putting on the broadcast, and getting all these guys to come out. Um, Anybody watching, feel free. We need cars, so come on out, come race. It's a lot of fun, hard, clean racing. So you don't want to miss it.
Congratulations on the podium run here tonight, Christian.
Thank you, guys.
Christian Peterson gained some valuable points for the championship standings at the very least. He's able to come away with the second spot tonight. His teammate Brandon Atkinson is what's got.
Yeah, Brandon Atkinson. Well, Brandon, honestly, you passed cars tonight, but I don't think you had to work too hard for it. I know you worked for it, but you were in tire save mode for what it looked like, and it really worked out for you at the end of the night.
Yeah, honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I pulled my my tab up to mess with my brake bias, and I never went to any other screen. So I had no idea what place I was in, what lap I was on. I just was worried about keeping my tires cool and not losing too much time. I was 100% certain there was going to be a caution late in the race. Surprised we didn't get one, but everyone did a good job of, holding on to what they had or pulling it into the pits. So, it was good to go the whole race green. And like you say, we didn't have to work for much. If you guys got tangled up when I got right behind them, and they made it real easy for me, which I prefer that anyhow. And so yeah, it was a good race, fun race. The way the rubber builds on the track now is something new. So something new to get used to and move around the track a little bit. So it was a good race and good win to Kyle and good racing to all the boys.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always, when I'm in the seat, I could never not know what place I'm in. And really, for you, it worked out. You just said, hey, I'm going to focus on this one thing and let everything else come to me. This is your first podium of the season. What does that feel like?
It's great to finally. I've had some bad luck, had a little monkey on my back the last couple of races. I started pretty consistent the first few races of the year. I think I had a fourth and a fifth or something like that. So it's good to rebound after the bad Martinsville and finally get on the podium and be able to get up in here and to talk to you guys. I don't think I've spoken to y'all before, so that's always nice. And hopefully we can keep talking to y'all and keep doing well.
Well, I hope so too. Brandon, anyone you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank Brandon Elvis and Christian Peterson, John, Dan, all the boys at Trick Chassis. Thanks, Kyle, for putting this series on and having us something to race. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Thank y'all for broadcasting, and that'd be all.
Well, congratulations on your first podium.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good night.
You too, man. Brandon Atkinson comes home third for his first podium of the Season 3 Touring Series here with the Misfit Racing League. And JP, your final thoughts on the evening? All green, all the way.
Clean racing, good product, good driving. Kyle Turzak showed why he's been the best this season. It's going to be very difficult, I think, to stop the 15 the rest of the way, just with how long his run speed has worked for him once he's gotten a lead. It's going to provide a lot more pressure for the onset, I think, for some of the drivers.
It is going to be tough, and we'll hope it'll get tougher maybe, and bring more challengers in for guys like Christian Peterson and Kyle Turzak. Go to racemrl.com for any more information about all the iRacing leagues with the Misfit Racing League. We'd love more drivers to come with us on Saturday, maybe race in some of their others, and just become a part of the community of MRL. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching here on V-Speed. We got shows all throughout the week. You can catch all sorts of oval racing, formula racing, and road course racing right here on V-Speed. I've been glad and blessed to be joined alongside Justin Prince and our excellent producer Morgan Cook, with our cameras provided by Dougie Beard. My name is Scott Shive, and we'll see you next time on MRL.